Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Weathered and Forged podcast, part of the Men of Purpose program and channel. We'll talk a little bit more about that this morning. Got one of my running buddies here, Trevor Johnson, with me. How are you, Trev?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. As we mentioned, Trev and I are going to be on here once a month, just going over a topic or two, and then the other times I'll have people on here that we're interviewing. The one that's coming up next is my partner that you'll see on the website here when I show it to you in a minute, Josh Reeves, who is kind of one of the founders of the Men of Purpose movement, and that's who we'll be doing next. And we'll talk more about our speakers and all that we're going on. Before we get into our topic today, I do want to roll out and announce. I know we talked about it when Trevor was on here briefly on his interview last month. The Men of Purpose conference. I've mentioned it on here a time or two. I've mentioned our website and all that. We're kicking that off officially tomorrow, but which would be May 1st, but we're going to let everybody know what's going on right now. I'm going to share a screen with you and just show people what we're doing and where we're going with some things. This is happening in Canadian Saturday, September 6th. It's going to be our first inaugural and hopefully first annual Men of Purpose conference here in Canadian. We'll be at the Texas Crown Performance Hall, which is at our middle school. We've got the Cattle Exchange coming that day. They're going to cater breakfast and lunch for us. We've got four keynote speakers. Trevor and myself will be two of them. Josh Reeves is another one, and then Josh Gunderson, who will be on here eventually. It's a F-22 fighter pilot. Will be speaking that day. You can see some of the basic things that we're going to talk about. We've got music from local guys here. Every pastor in town's going to be here. It's really been a cool deal to see it all pull together. The most important thing is this is free. Let me repeat that. This is free. We've had an entity come to us that they wanted to do something like this, and as Josh and I were working on Men of Purpose, and then Trevor's helped me behind the scenes with Weathered and Forged over the years. Uh, this is where we are. So we're really excited about what's coming up in September here. That's a Saturday, September 6th. It'll be all day. We're going to roll more out with this as we get there, but I want to show you a couple other things. You see the QR code down here. If you'll scan that, in fact, I'm going to go out. Well, no, if you'll scan that, it will take you to our website, which let me pull that up real quick. Our website. It used to be the Weathered and Forged one. If you've ever been on that, I know we had a few people on it over time, but uh, it will take you to this website here, which is uh, we're using this with all of our men's groups and just getting information out to people. Our friends Matt Jones and Brooke, is it Coville? Brooke Miller Coville? Is it Coville? Coville? I asked her yesterday. I didn't know. I've known Brooke most of her life. Her dad's Tommy Miller, Trevor, that coached at Tulia forever. But our good friends with Dreammaker Productions, they put this together. They've done a fantastic job. But if you come here, scan the QR code, go to men's conference, uh, you'll be able to sign up right there. And all we're asking for is your name, where you're from, your email address, and phone number so we can get a hold of you. Again, it's free. We're really excited about it. We think good things are going to happen. Uh, you also see out here our podcasts. We're starting to house all those as well. So you can go back to when Sawyer and I started this back, uh, maybe 6 months ago or so. But we're really excited about everything we're doing. And as I got on the podcast previous to Trevor's and talked about, I think just what we have seen, Trev, is especially over the past year and a half, is this is good for everybody, but men really need this more than anybody. I feel like I don't know why. I just think it's that time in society. and it's really important. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. It gives you a deeper thinking of what you're going through as well. And, we can all learn from somebody. I mean, I've learned from about five different people here in the past week just listening to some guys. So yeah, we all definitely need something every day to keep us going and keep us moving forward.
Yeah, and I just think we're at a point in our society where men, we've just kind of lost our place in the world, and it's because of all the distractions that are out there, and we've put a lot back on our wives and families that we shouldn't. And I think we're seeing this pendulum come back where men are going, okay, we got to figure this out. We got to get this right. I know it was a big struggle for me for a long time. And what I realized is I wasn't the only one on it. So we're excited about where this Men of Purpose is going. Now, if you're female, hey, don't shut us out. Don't shut us off. This is good for you too. It's not like the old Little Rascals He-Man Woman Hater Club. It's not that way. It's just we've kind of felt like this is the direction we've been led with this. So, um, very excited about that. You'll see it out on our website. We're going to start pushing it out on social media. That's the other thing. Our old social media that used to be Weathered and Forged, we're changing to that to Men of Purpose Life, and that actually goes with our website. If you want to go to our website, it's menofpurpose.life, which I think is really cool and really unique that they came up with. You can see everything out there, but we'll start pushing this out and be talking about this more. We'll have it on our personal accounts as we move forward. So, excited about that. That's the announcement. We're fired up about all that's going on. Well, we want to talk about today, and Trev and I we've talked about this briefly here and there over the past week or two about what we want to talk about. I know it's something that I've been experiencing. It is, how do you handle the stress in really busy times? When things get rolling and life gets busy, how do you handle that? And I hear a lot of people or some people say, well, I like it when it's busy. I like it. Yeah, I bet you do to a point, but there comes that point in every person's life where it's just too much. There's too much going on, and it is pure craziness. Trevor, I know you talked about this briefly last time we were on, but just talk about like in your world post spring break, and I mean not just work but family, everything. It's a
Yeah.
busy time for you right now too, right?
Yeah, I was kind of expecting life to slow down a little bit, but I feel like we're even busier than we were during the season, chasing around our sixth grade daughter and our second grade son. It feels like there's something going on every night too. And, just trying to be a leader in our school as well and helping out wherever I can. Our principal just left and we just hired our associate principal to be the principal. So just filling a void and helping out him as, spring's crazy with testing and, spring sports, theater, everything's going on. So just trying to help out as much as possible. It's still a whirlwind. And, I was kind of expecting it to slow down, but it never did.
Yeah, yeah. And a little shout out to your new principal, Travis Willard. That's an old Randall Raider back heading it up, man. I got to coach him when he was a freshman in high school. And what a great guy. We probably need to get him on here one of these days. What a good dude. But same here, for my life, it's of course business is always there, and business has changed a little bit for me in the past 6 months. Some things that we had going on have changed and aren't that way anymore. So there's that business pressure, and that's okay. But same deal. It's balancing work, life, and family. I've got a senior in high school, Tucker, and if you've ever had a senior in high school in small schools, I don't know what large schools are like, but small schools, it turns into it's about 2 days a week. There's something going on somewhere that you feel like you need to be at, or whatever. So and then mix that in with Baxter's got his Baker Elementary track meet or whatever one day, and it just seems like it's something every day. And it's, you want to be there for family, you got to be there for work, and it's just finding that time and that balance that works. Because I think what we find, or at least I know for me, when I get really busy, the stress hits and then the anxiety comes on. And I had a severe case of anxiety I didn't know about until 4 years ago. And boy, when that anxiety hits, it's a big, big deal. And a lot of people don't know there's a part in your brain called the amygdala, and it's about the size of a almond, and it sits right back here in the base of your brain. And the amygdala handles all of your anxiety and stress, and basically it's called your fight or flight mechanism. And if that thing ever fires, all of your rational thinking and your calmness and everything, it goes away. The way the amygdala works, it's either fight or flight or calm. It's not, you can't have both at the same time. So when that thing fires, it gets kind of sticky with you, and it's a little bit scary. So let's talk about a little bit about when that thing starts to fire, when your amygdala starts getting to rolling, and when it gets busy, Trevor. What's something that you go to or you're starting to find that calms you or settles you down in situations sometimes?
Yeah, just like during the season when you're stressed, getting at home's kind of a relief, seeing the family and kids, because that's the one constant in your life, basically. But, just trying to find that quiet time. I'm a reader, so I've tried to find that hour at home every night where I just sit down in the quiet and read a book and or put the headphones in, listen to a podcast, and just get away from the world. So that's kind of how I find my little peace of mind during those stressful times.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Getting away and yeah, getting slow. I think along with that you could say, and some people, and I think it's a good way to do it, but it can be a bad way. But get off your phone and get on your phone and get on a podcast or something, but get off your phone, i.e., social media, where all the people are joined up and everything.
Yeah.
Something that I've always found, and I just had it this week. I came in Monday morning and a list of two turned into four real quick, and there were things that surprised me, and I could feel it going. Okay, here it goes, and I had to stop and take a deep breath and go, okay, stop and breathe first, and let's put this in order, and let's knock out one at a time because my instinct is I got to fix it all at once. Well, you can't do that. You can, and it's not all going, nothing's going to get fixed. So, number one for me has always been, man, just stop and breathe for a second. Just relax. It's going to be okay. These things are fleeting. They're passing. It's going to be all right. And so I find myself having to do that some as well. Yeah, it's kind of a one of those deals.
Yeah, to
Another
add
one I want to
to
mention. Do
to
I?
add on to that, like I'm a big Nick Saban believer, and he's always stressing it. Don't worry about the outcome. It's all about the process. If you stick with your processes and do the little things and take care of what needs to be taken care of, the outcome is always going to take care of itself in the end. But just being process oriented through all the hard things, I think that's big for me and my family that we've really tried to look into and try to stress that every day as well.
Yeah, I think being that process oriented, we got to understand we can only do one thing at a time, do it well.
Yeah.
So that brings up part two to me with that is we have to learn how to delegate a little bit. And what I mean by delegating, I got this from a dear friend of mine that used to coach me, and Trevor knows who he is. The guy's name is Jeff Presnall. I think he's still teaching now. Jeff was one of my high school coaches, and I coached with him back at Claude for a little bit. And when he left, he said, Landon, he left Claude to go to Munster. He said, Landon, you got to learn something in your life one of these days. He said, don't be like me, because this was Jeff to a T. You got to learn to say no. And my response to Jeff at that time was, Jeff, well, you never said no. And he said, that's why I'm moving to Munster, because I never said no. And he had become like he opened the school at Claude. He closed the school at Claude. He was a janitor half the time. He was the IT coordinator. He was a girls basketball coach. He just never said no. And it was a big lesson in life. And I'm just now learning that here at 50, 53 years old is you got to learn to say no. And you got to learn that you can't be everything everywhere at one place at one time. That's something Danita and I are working on that's starting to be pretty successful for us is look, there just may be times, there's times you got to both be at something, but there's times one of you can be at one thing and the other one maybe not. And that's okay. And it's just learning to delegate out and really prioritize what's important. What do we all have to be at? What are some things that, yeah, somebody needs to show, or and your kids will even tell you that, hey, yeah, I'd like to have you at that, or it's not that big a deal. Don't worry about it. I don't know how you guys were, Trev, but I know with Sawyer, the first kid, we thought we had to be at everything. We learned real quick. That's yeah, you can, but it's not that big a deal. And I think the same thing's true in work life. I mean, you got to lean in. I know you've got assistant coaches and stuff. Part of that saying no is trusting other people to get a job done, you
Yeah.
know?
And that's delegations. I'm probably not one to speak on delegation because that's my biggest weakness in the world. Because, being the assistant coach for 10 years, I tried making Coach Broadhair's life as easy as possible. I did every single little thing so he could just focus on the coaching. Then you get moved up into the head job and you don't want to let go of those things because you feel like you've kind of perfected the process of doing it. And but you hired these assistants for a reason and they're a big part of what we do. And, just letting go of things has been the hardest thing that I've had to do and moving over 6 inches in a chair. So it's delegation's tough. And my wife will tell me I'm the worst person at telling people no because I say yes to a lot of things. And I feel like I've gotten better at saying no in the past couple months. And my work home life has improved because of that, but there's still some things I need to get better at as well.
Yeah, and I think those of us that like to help, we like to say yes to things. I used to say yes to everything, every board that came along, every group that came along. Just like last night, I was at one of our Men of Purpose groups that has been started up here. And I wanted to stay, but I just went in and told them about the men's conference and said, guys, I'm leaving. I got to go. And I do. I've got in a normal week, I've got four different groups I could go to. A couple of them are men's groups, a couple of them are recovery groups that I like to still help with. But there's just days you just don't, and that's okay. It's okay because you've got to be able to get that downtime for yourself. I remember when your dad and I were coaching. There was a year we had a coach, our athletic director left in July. We didn't rehire. We only had like three coaches on staff that year. I think it was Jody and myself and Coach Tarbett, and then we had PJ Lemons helped us. But that was a part-time deal. But there were three full-time, and I remember I was loading the bus one afternoon. I was the athletic director in football and basketball, and Jody was doing baseball. But anyway, I was loading the bus one afternoon, just getting stuff done, everything. So we're all pitching in. And I came in from the bus, and Jody said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm loading the bus, getting the coolers full and all that stuff." And he just shook his head. I said, "What?" He goes, "Man, you got to let some of us do that too." And I didn't realize it. I was just doing what you've always done. And his point was, look, man, same deal. You slid over in the chair a little bit. There's other things you got to do as well. You're driving yourself nuts. And I didn't realize it. That was 20 years ago too, that you not only do you drive yourself crazy, you drive everyone around you crazy too. And you got to be really, really careful of that. And, good lesson to learn. It's easy to fall into that trap. I think society wants us to fall into that trap. Society likes us to be busy. If you just and you'll hear me talk about social media all the time. Hop on social media, they love chaos. They do. They love people arguing, people fighting, people mad, and complete chaos. I don't know why, but that's what the world likes. And to be able to step out, to say no, to delegate, like you said, get away for a minute. Just like for you getting away and reading and getting quiet, I go on walks. Because if I go on a walk, unless you got Life 360 on me, you're not gonna find me. That's the way it goes. And so, um, I do that too, and it helps clear my mind a little bit too. With that. But yeah, I think that's a big deal. I'm going to throw something else out here on this, and Trevor and I are both going to laugh about this because I'm trying to get better at this, but it's hard. I was just reading something on this, and it came out of a book called The Five Resets by Dr. Aditi is her last name. She researched the brain for 20 years and how we react to things. She says, too, in those times, you especially need to watch what you eat. Now, this is two coaches here talking about this that Allsup's in fast food world. When we're in a hurry, it's quick, fast, and in a hurry. But I mean, Trev, you guys, your kids and staying in shape, y'all watch them when you talk about nutrition and everything. I mean, honestly, in the times we get really busy, if we would tighten up, it'd probably make us feel a lot better.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
guessing.
Yeah,
I'm trying that. I'm trying to see
yeah,
how that
yeah,
works out. I've never really
yeah,
done that, but I'm working on that.
yeah.
So, yeah. And I just I've got a couple of friends out of these men's groups. They've been doing some fasting and they'd never fasted before and they jumped right into a 3 day fast. And I was like, whoa, time out. Yeah, let's ease into this. But they've talked about even that, how there's some clarity to mind as you kind of let your body clean out and everything. And there's a great point to that. I know for me, um, I told them last night, if you drink a lot of water, drinking a lot of water cures a lot of ills in life. It really does. It flushes the body out. It makes you feel better. But I think there's a physical aspect of that too. We've talked a little bit about the mental, but physically, really bearing down and going, okay, I got to take care of myself, getting
Mhm.
enough sleep. Thoughts? I know I'm throwing that one at you. You're shaking your head.
No, 1,000,000%. And, being a coach, it is fast and furious. And like, there's times where it needs to slow down. You need to get more sleep. You need to prioritize that. You need to prioritize what you're eating. And, we're stressing that to our athletes and our kids. And a lot of the times, well, the majority of the time, we're not following that example because we're just on to the next thing. How can I eat this as quick as possible and move on to the next thing too? And whatever we're eating is probably not good for you. So, yeah, I'm a big proponent of what you're saying, and hand up, it's one area in my life that I really need to get better at too.
Chris Beard, who he used to be the men's basketball coach at Tech, then went to Texas and now is at Ole Miss. I heard him talk about in an interview one day, talking about his guys day to day. How do we keep the continuum going? He's talking about drinking water and everything, and he said it real simple, and it's always made a lot of sense to me. He said, "Get some color in your diet. Watch what you're. If it's all brown and fried and everything, that's probably not good. Get some color. Vegetables, fruits, things like that." And that made a lot of sense to me. And I find myself, if I just stay conscious of that on a daily basis, things tend to get better over time with that as well. So, and I'm gonna go back to getting busy and feeling like you got to get everything done. I've got a good friend of mine. He just started a business with his wife and they're go, go, go all the time. And they're working till midnight every night. Of course, they're 28, 30 years old and they're doing a great job. But I told him the other morning at breakfast, I said, man, I said, let me tell you something. That work's going to be there when you get there in the morning. He goes, yeah, but we got to do this and that. And another buddy of ours said, but you got to do it. And I said, no, I'm not saying it doesn't have to be done. But here's what I am saying. At some point, you need to take a break, and at some point, like me, I have clients that will call me on the weekend sometimes, and I'll tell them, look, I'm going to look into that maybe Monday before I can get to it. But look at people understand that. But I think we have got to be able to shut off that work mode every now and then. We've got to be able to go, hey, we got to slow it down for a minute. Because really, in the end, in my opinion, work's just work. A job's just a job. And that's something I speak to in my talks is, if you let work and your job become who you are, you got a problem because you're not going to have that job forever. You're not. It's our good buddy Coach Broadhurst. He thought he was going to coach till he's 100, and it's hard because it becomes who you are, and really that generation ahead of me, they're in their 60s and 70s, and my dad that's 80, he was a workaholic. That's who they became, and that's not necessarily true. That's not who we are. It's not who we're meant to be for sure. So
Yeah, one of the greatest things I've done in the past year was during Thanksgiving break in the middle of basketball season. My wife, we're just in month one, and my wife goes, "This isn't sustainable. Like,
yeah,
you're bringing too much home. You can see it in your face, you can see it in your body, you can see it in your energy. Like, something's got to change." And we were off from Wednesday to Sunday during Thanksgiving break, and she told me, she goes, "Me and you are going on a trip," and I made one of the most diabolical moves I could have ever made, probably, and it was probably the greatest move I've ever done. As we went to Red Osa, New Mexico, and I left my phone at home. 250 miles away. Didn't have a phone for 3 days, and man, it was so refreshing, but it was such a great reset to my mind and my body and really put my priorities back in order of what I needed to be doing. I was bringing too much home in my mind. I wasn't giving time to my kids, wasn't giving time to my wife, and it was just being a basketball coach 24/7, but that reset really put things in perspective for me, and I can't wait to do it again, honestly.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Putting your job in the position it's in, and then you talked about your phone. We don't realize with these how attached we get to them. I mean they really become part of who we are. And if we're not careful, we can't. You just can't ever get away from it. And probably one of the greatest inventions and greatest problems ever created in the world is when we quit using the phones that hung on the walls at the house, and now we can carry them everywhere with us. So, but yeah, I agree with that. But I think, wrapping up here, because I think it is a busy time for people. We're getting ready to get to the summer, and for some people, that's kind of relaxing, but a lot of people, there's stress involved with vacations and family gatherings and all that stuff. It speeds up. A few things here, man. Just as guys, just stop and breathe for a minute. Relax. It's going to be okay. It's going to pass. Like you said, detach and get away from the world for just a minute, whether that's on a walk and exercising a little bit or reading or whatever. Be able to say no, you know. I think guys don't understand this enough too. Uh, Going to the golf course when you're busy to get away, sometimes that's the worst thing you can do too, because you just take it out there. It just turns into one more thing sometimes. So being able to say no to whatever that is, and then, watch what you eat, help delegate. There's other people in your life willing to help you if you let them. And I think that's a big deal for men. We don't delegate enough. We're fixers. We're going to fix it all. We're going to do all that. And man, there's so many other people that are probably better at the job you're trying to get done than you are, and will get it done a lot quicker. Let them do it. It's okay. Put some trust and have some faith in some folks. So I think for anybody out there, as you're stepping through, getting ready for a busy time, or maybe you're in the middle of it and you can feel that amygdala firing and going nuts, man, just take a breath, just back off. And my other deal would be too, and I'm gonna let you speak to this a little bit because I don't think you were really good at it at one time either. Get with somebody and talk to them. Talk to a buddy. Get in a men's group where you meet weekly. Do something,
Yeah.
but get that out of yourself and quit worrying about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I meet with a counselor once a month and he's changed my life, but not even him, just everybody's, if you look to your left or right amongst men in here, they're probably going through the same thing more than likely. And I mean, I've got great friends that I talk to every day and they deal with the same issues. And, we're great benefactors for each other, helping each other out. So yeah, just communication with friends and people around you can bring a lot of weight off your shoulders.
I agree. And I think even as we talk to people, even talking about our relationship, I would say once a month we try to meet up for lunch or something together on average. But
Mhm.
if not, if we're not talking weekly, it's once every other week or whatever. And you've just got to have those people in your life that cycle in and out. And I've got people just like you do. When I'm not talking to you, I've got some guys here locally that get in contact with me that I'm back and forth with. And that's so important. And I'm going to specify guys need guys and girls need girls. They do, because there's just some things we don't understand about each other. And to be able to get that out, like you said, the odds are some guys are going to go, yep, going through the exact same thing, man. I get it. So I really think that's a good thing. So wrapping up here, thoughts on Trevor, give us thoughts on men's conference, thoughts on this stress in life, all that,
Yeah.
walking out of here.
Yeah, I think the men's conference, I'm really excited for it. I'm really excited to listen to the other speakers because, anytime I listen to somebody, I try to take something away, and I think we can learn something from all the speakers up there. And I think it's a great deal for guys that are entering college up to 80 and 90 years old. I think everybody's going to be able to learn something valuable going into that conference. So I'm really excited for September to get here up in Canadian. And, I just finished this book written by George Raveling, who used to be a Nike executive, big part of USA basketball. And one of the chapters was talking about struggles and stuff. I just wanted to share a quick little passage real quick. In life, it's easy to focus on the end result, think success is only about the final outcome, but the real magic lies in the journey, the times when you had to push yourself, when you question whether you were going to make it. As you face your own challenges, remember this: the struggles you're enduring now are shaping you, preparing you for something greater. They're not obstacles to be avoided, but opportunities for growth. When you face setbacks in your career, your relationships, or your personal goals, remind yourself that these are the moments when you're being forged. They're the foundation of future success, even if it's not immediately clear. Embrace them, learn from them, because one day you'll look back and realize that these struggles were the most beautiful part of your journey. So, I mean, just trying to have that mindset every single day, I think that's really, really important. No matter if it's a good day or a bad day, like embrace everything that's happening to you.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I think that's a great place to end on. I just finished that book as well, and I'm going back to take some notes on it. But yeah, I think we leave it at that. Um, we want to thank everybody again for tuning in. If you like this, please share it with others. We have it on YouTube and Spotify, and now we're going to house it out there on our Men of Purpose website. Please share it with others. And if you got ideas or if you've got somebody that you think we should have on here, man, just give us a shout, because all of this is just designed to get people better and to get people to open up that conversation of talking to each other and being vulnerable a little bit, and understanding we're all in this together. I mean, and we all get one shot. We get one shot at this world, and that's it. When the lights go out, we go somewhere else, and you're not going to be here. So, anyway, we'll wrap up with that. Uh, we love all you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure if somebody needs some help, stop and help them sometime, man. Be there for somebody. Talk to you soon. Thanks.